Hello everyone, quick preface. This video is going to show some War in the Pacific footage, and it's going to show some combat footage that is a really shaky camera during some of the combat resolutions, so I'm really sorry about that. This was taken from a live stream. I'll have to look into how to fix that. Some of the things with War in the Pacific, when you actually capture the gameplay, it gets a little bit finicky because of some of the resolutions the game was designed to work on versus, what you're recording at. So just apologizing in advance that some of the footage is going to look a little bit wonky. It's not the best quality because of that, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyway. I do want to share more of this series as I fight Baloogan in War in the Pacific. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm going to be playing something I haven't really played much of, actually if any, on my channel, and that is a game called War in the Pacific, 1941 to 45, Admirals Edition. It is I believe Admirals Edition was kind of like a fan-made enhancement to the original War in the Pacific, the struggle against Japan, which came out, I want to say that came out around 2005, 2006, and then Admirals Edition was, I think, 2009. It's an expansion that adds a lot of detail and depth to War in the Pacific, and it's something that a year ago, in a vain or attempt to get something off the ground that never really materialized in terms of YouTube, I was going to create a weekly series where we were going to look at a online play-by-email game that I was doing with Baloogan. Baloogan from Baloogan Campaign. Those of you who don't know, Baloogan is the founder of BalooganCampaign.com, did a lot of fan stuff with Command Modern Air Naval Operations, now works full-time with Warfare Sims, I assume as a programmer, because that's kind of what his day job was. We had conducted a play-by-email game of the stock version of War in the Pacific Admirals Edition out into around, I want to say, was it July or August of 1942. So we got a ways, almost a year into it. And that's still kind of sort of there, but I, recognizing my own limitations as a player of this game, realized that I am not very good at this game. And Baloogan is much better than I am, and playing as Japan is a much more difficult task in this game than playing as the Allies. Initially, Japan has a ton of advantages, but they also have to manage their industry, they have to manage resource trade, they have to manage oil, production, heavy industry, how many fighter engines are they going to make, and then pairing those up to make sure they have enough fighter airframes for planes that use that engine. So it's a very detailed game, and it's difficult for someone who doesn't know much about the game or isn't very good at the game to play as Japan. So I said, hey, Baloogan, why don't I play as the Allies? You play as Japan. And him, recognizing the limitations of playing as Japan as well, kind of hem and hawed about it. He was a little bit of a coward around it. Yeah, I'll call him out there. But he did decide, okay, listen, I'll play as Japan, but we've got to play Focus Pacific. So if those of you who aren't familiar, Focus Pacific is a mod that gives Japan a whole bunch of perks. Go figure, he would want to play Japan if he got a bunch of perks. Basically, the mod that this game is looking at is assuming that both the Allies and the Japanese were prepared for World War II in the Pacific. So Japan starts much stronger than they did historically, and they get a bunch of toys that they historically didn't get as the war goes on. In fact, one example is the Yamato is already in commission at the outbreak of war. The Allies get a bunch of perks, though, as well. They get French battle cruisers. It assumes that Holland actually ordered a series of battle cruisers from Germany, I believe. So there are perks on both sides. France has some carriers as well. But in essence, the game gives both sides a stronger starting force, disproportionately benefiting the Japanese, I believe, in terms of the original gameplay balance, which was much more focusing on history. But in the long term, the Allies eventually will come out much stronger and have a decisive advantage as the war goes on. The key is playing the Allies is going to be making sure that you don't, basically, hypothetically, you don't let the Japanese get too far, too fast, especially given they're much stronger now, and that you resist effectively, which will be challenging for me because I'm not a very good player. But I am going to start sharing this series periodically on the channel. And as you can see here, we're into December 10th. We're about to see the December 9th replay of the game. And that's what we'll go ahead and jump into. Now, I'm going to trust that none of you are going to share my password with Baloogan. So please don't share that password with Baloogan. And that music is really loud in my ear, but it looks okay on the board, so let me know if the audio is okay. We're jumping into the most recent replay. This is just, like I said, a couple days into the game. So we're jumping into the most recent replay of this game. And you'll see this kind of initial phase of every turn is just kind of some initial movements that are occurring in the early morning hours. It's calculating paths that vehicles are going to take, that ships are going to take, and some preliminary combat as well. So you can see here some Japanese destroyers have intercepted some of my own allied destroyers, and the two task forces are maneuvering. It appears there's going to be some early morning, nighttime naval combat, and the Japanese destroyers have crossed our T and launched torpedoes at this destroyer of ours. So one thing that I will call out is I am in the process of trying to evacuate some of my forces. Alright, I just adjusted the volume here. I hope it's a little bit better. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Can you guys hear me okay over the volume of the game? Okay, so that was a somewhat ineffectual nighttime engagement against some British, or actually was it British? I believe it was a British destroyer. Okay, so we're withdrawing. Some submarines are going to get attacked. We'll kind of jump through this. One thing to keep in mind with these combat results is there is a bit of fog of war baked in, so I believe Baloogan sees the same battle reports that I see. So from that perspective, you know, it's going to be some haze is built in. Sometimes you'll even get the wrong ships being identified and being hit, or sometimes a bomb hit will actually be a torpedo hit, or, you know, you'll get a hit and you won't report one. So there is definitely fog of war. He's bombing Clark Field right now at night, which is largely ineffective. You can see here he's damaging some stuff on the ground. He's not hitting the runway very often. 2 bombs landed in the vicinity of the runway. 1 aircraft was damaged. He lost a couple aircraft damaged by flak. One of the reasons I believe he's doing this is in the last turn, in December 7th, the Japanese actually lost 200 aircraft. The Allies lost 350. 200 sounds mind-numbing and like, oh my goodness, Japan would never recover. But again, remember guys, this is focus Pacific, so Japan is up-armored to the hilt. You know, we shot down, I want to say 30 bombers attacking Clark Field. He definitely didn't get the better of it there. So, be that what it is. He's obviously landing troops on the island of Borneo, near Miri, which is the base there. And here is an epic naval combat coming, hopefully. Looks like 2 allied crew... There's other... I'm not sure... One of these is Marblehead. That's a light cruiser. One of these is Houston, is a heavy cruiser. I'm not sure what the other ship is, but we're engaging a Japanese task force off Miri that consists of at least 1 Japanese heavy cruiser and a group of destroyers as well. You can see Marblehead getting straddled there. Light cruiser Dallas is returning fire. So actually 3 light cruisers and 1 heavy, I believe, is the makeup of this force. Yes, is a phone. I will end up putting this on the YouTube channel. I may edit it a bit, but I will try and keep as much of this as possible. Ugh, Marblehead hit by a Japanese long-lance torpedo. That's gonna sting. So again, you can see the combat kind of flows back and forth like this. It can take a while as each individual ship is kind of firing its salvos. There's Boise, by the way, the light cruiser Boise, and what have you. I haven't seen Houston fire at all. The American light cruisers involved, by the way, are really good light cruisers. I recognize by charging my force forward to attack near Miri that this is probably going to result in the entire task force being destroyed, but I'm actually okay with that. The thing is, with the American, at least the American heavy cruisers, you get a respawn. So if your ship gets sunk, you'll actually have not a duplicate, but you have a modern version of the cruiser that comes into the production queue, you know, so many years down the line to simulate essentially overwhelming Allied resources. And so we may lose these ships, we'll get them replaced. Japan has no such respawn ability of their ships. So again, Japan will lose any ships they lose for good. The Allies will replenish them with time. And again, the Allies are also going to have a overall numerical advantage the further we go into the war. So if we take out a Japanese heavy cruiser or Japanese destroyers now, obviously that will make them much weaker as we get stronger. So really, I am fine with a 1-to-1 trade in terms of ships. I'm fine with even less than a 1-to-1. You know, if we get a 2-to-3 trade-off in ships, long-term, that will benefit the Allies more than it benefits the Japanese. Neuhauser, it may look like the Battle of Java Sea, but thus far it's not. You can see we've done some damage to a Japanese gunboat, and we have a Japanese heavy cruiser here. It's smoking. It looks like it may be on fire. Again, I still haven't seen the Houston fire its guns, so I guess we'll see what happens here. No, I'm not talking about Hong Kong. The Battle of Java Sea was a engagement that took place in the Battle of Java Sea over this direction on the map, which was where the Allied command of British, Dutch, and American, and Australian, I believe it was, cruisers engaged a Japanese task force and was obliterated with basically doing no damage to the Japanese. You can see here the range started at 17,000 yards. We are closing in on the enemy battle fleet. We're up to 6,000 yards. I believe this is the daytime combat. So you can see Boise is hitting the Japanese heavy cruiser, the Azamiya, with 6-inch shells. And the Japanese are firing back. So Boise was just hit by some Japanese heavy shells. As we get into these closer ranges, you'll see a lot smaller weapons and secondaries come into their own. Oops. I just kind of clicked off. So I'm going to jump ahead in the combat here. I don't think we need to see every ship fire. I suppose we give it a few more minutes, but it's getting a little bit tedious. So we'll go ahead and jump ahead. Sorry, by clicking off the screen, the graphics of what was on the screen got lost. Oh, shit. Ah... I accidentally clicked a button and it jumped out. Ah, fuck! I wanted to show you guys that. Anyway, Azuma took a hit and was sunk, according to our Fog of War, so I screwed up the replay there by not allowing you to see the whole thing, but at the end of the day, the Japanese heavy cruiser there was in fact sunk at the end of that battle, and our cruisers largely escaped without too much damage. Now, what's happening here is I was attempting to escape the bulk of the British fleet out of Singapore and escape them north, the battlecruiser Repulse and the battleship King George. Unfortunately, the Japanese predicted my movement and saw massive numbers of aircraft are flying a very long and circuitous route to try and bomb my ships as they try and escape. And at the end of the day, they've been pretty successful in mauling my convoys there. The Azuma, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what class the Azuma is. It's a Japanese heavy cruiser. There weren't a ton of those, but I'm not sure which class it was. You're watching from Singapore, Norman. Well, I've been trying to evacuate forces out of Singapore the first 2 turns, so nothing against Singapore, but I don't think I've got much of a chance. You can see here I'm attempting to bomb Japanese troop ships. We have P-50 fighters as escorts, so again, there's a lot of non-hypothetical ships here in this game. You can see the Japanese are hitting our troop convoys as they attempt to escape, and it looks like they've gotten some air units ashore at Singora as they're obviously hitting these warships in the channel. They just hit one of our light cruisers, as they're bringing some short-ranged dive bombers as well, which will be much more effective, I would assume, as long as they can get in range. You can see those 250-kilogram bombs striking home at the Diana. 5 bomb hits on her. She's in heavy damage. And large air battles are taking place over Kawachagan, or however you pronounce that. It's a French-Chinese possession. They don't seem to be losing that much in the way of actual airplanes shot down in that engagement, but large numbers of aircraft are being engaged here over southern China. You can see there the unescorted bombers turned back, but some of them pressed on, and we didn't apparently do much damage to them. Again, only 1 destroyed. So there may have been a mix-up there with the fighters getting turned around. Go Scrap Iron Fleet. More Japanese torpedo bombers, the GM-4 Bettys, launching airstrikes against some of our destroyers. Their troop transport there, 4 torpedo hits is sunk. You can see here almost 500 Allied soldiers killed, or reported as casualties as they try and flee. And again, dozens more Japanese Bettys, a lot more than they historically would have been able to bring to bear. Another AK and AP heavy damage, another 700 Allied troops. So my withdrawal efforts out of Singapore have probably weakened Singapore far more than they've made. Actually, I don't even know if anyone's going to escape. That entire route has been pretty much demolished. So the series Nevermore was always something I wanted to do. Maybe this is Operation Glacier 2.0, but I wouldn't call it forgotten. It was just one of those things that I never had enough time to do. I'm still not sure how I want to handle this going forward. We're just looking at the replay of 1 turn, but I can't do a replay every single day, right? So I think what we may do is we may do like weekly status updates or something like that. But I'm really not sure. I haven't decided. I just figured, hey, I felt like streaming a little bit tonight, and I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of what's going on. So you can see all these recon reports. It's kind of the AM to PM transition phase right now, so all the air raids in the AM occurred, and you can have the chance to have raids in the AM or PM. And right now we're moving on to the afternoon combat. You can see here the Japanese are launching some fighter sweeps over Manila. They're also launching some bombing raids on what's left of our fleet here. 6 Bettys, 4 destroyed. They never made it through to our ships there with that raid. The afternoon raids tend to be a little bit smaller, or so it seems. So that's always a nice thing to, they seem to be smaller, I guess we'll say. Oh no, not the Houston. She's undamaged. I thought my heavy cruiser might have a chance to make it out. But as it appears, the Houston was hit by a torpedo. And another torpedo. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, Dallas. My cruisers. Let's see if we can get any of them out. The one thing I'm really worried about, and we didn't strike any kind of house rule, is China. I tend to ignore China, which is bad, because if the Japanese overrun China, they can have a very, very effective Pacific campaign, as all those resources are freed up. And I'm just bad at it. I'm bad at the game in general, but China seems a very difficult task to master. As you can see here, I'm trying to launch some bombing raids on these Japanese toeholds here on the Malay Peninsula, but I just don't have the aircraft to do it. I've got more than historically were available, but again, as you can see here, the Japanese have hundreds of aircraft ashore at Singora and these other bases along the Malay Peninsula already that they're just ravaging our fleets as they attempt to escape here. You can see here more men ending in the water. No Japanese aircraft shot down. We lost, what, 2 more ships sunk for sure, another 120 casualties. So I had actually put several relatively large units aboard transports, and I don't think any of them are going to escape. In this game, you control all of the Allied powers. So you control Chang. I don't know if Mao is represented in game. I assume he is, but I assume he's under your command as well. Funny you say that. I don't think I've actually lost Guam yet. I could be wrong. I need to double check that. Okay, so the Japanese are landing troops ashore near Vegan. We've begun our withdrawal to Clark Field on the Filipino island of Luzon. So we're not going to meet them at the beaches in this case. You can see the Japanese do launch an assault against Hong Kong. It does not succeed. So you can see here, we'll jump ahead. The Japanese will reduce the fortifications. I believe they managed to reduce the fortifications 1 level, I think. Somewhere in here it says that. Fort level, reduce fortifications to 3, so it starts at 3 and they reduce it to 3? I'm not quite sure how that works. At the end of the day, they lost 1,500 casualties. They lost about 700. They also take Miri, despite our naval engagement off Miri ravaging their own surface flotilla there. They take Tarawa, just fine. There's no one on Tarawa. And now just a summary of islands that upgrade their forts and air bases, all that, and we'll be kicked back out to the main screen here in just a second. Three, two, one. I didn't know it was that dangerous. I didn't know the Japanese had gotten so many land-based aircraft ashore until my ships are already halfway up the slot and it was too dangerous. So you're certainly right that I probably should have withdrawn to Australia or Java instead. I didn't know it was that dangerous, and I wanted those land units available to me in the Indian subcontinent for the eventual Japanese push there. That was my logic. Alright, so that was the end of that. Now we can jump in and actually get into the Allied turn. Alright guys, I'm going to trust you with my password. This is not my password to all of my personal accounts, believe me. But again, there you can see my password, so hopefully no one betrays me to Baloogan. Okay, so first things first. According to this, and again this is also subject to fog of war, the Japanese lost 40 aircraft in air-to-air engagements. We lost 38, so an advantage there. Destroyed on the field, Japanese lost more than us. Destroyed by flak, Japanese lost more than us. And operational losses, the Japanese lost more than us. Who really knows if that's true, but anyway. Alright, so Allied ships sunk. Wait. Allied ships sunk. That was Japanese. Allied ships sunk that turn. Oh, not just last turn. Last turn we lost quite a few destroyers. You can see here 4 destroyers. We lost 2 troop transports, 3 transports, and an armed merchant cruiser. Most of that was near Phuket, which is where the Singapore forces were withdrawing. These destroyers were previously damaged, I believe, at Pearl Harbor, and they sank as a result of their wounds. And then we had 1 French destroyer sink near Iba. I believe French ships I was trying to escape out of French China. Baloogan is already guaranteed he will not watch the stream, so I trust him. I don't know if I trust him with my life, but hopefully I trust him not to watch the stream. You can see here we're claiming anyway that we sunk the Azuma, a Tone class heavy cruiser, which is great if we did sink it. Also claiming the patrol boat WA-19 and several other ships, a armed destroyer transport, 2 transport ships, and a light transport. Okay, so overall, I would say I'm happy with that trade, if that's indeed true. Again, we need to check on the Houston to see where she's at in the process of sinking. You can see here 2 groups are escorting, and 1 surface group remains in place. It looks like the Japanese Naval Task Force have withdrawn from Miri, so that's good to see. And at least our presence here may delay any further Japanese landings along the Borneo coast. Now, the one thing I assume they're probably going to do, Miri has an air capacity of 2, so I would imagine they're going to start flying some aircraft into Miri and start basing out of Miri to try and control this whole Mascar Strait Java Sea area. If they can get GM4s and GM3s in here, we're going to be in some trouble. I think they might need a little bit larger of an airbase to operate effectively from there, but nonetheless, a little bit concerning. So let's take a look here. The Houston she's done for, guys. She's got 94 float damage, and she's at sea. We could potentially try and bring her into Brunei itself. It does have a port level of 3, but I doubt she'll make it even that far. You can see she's got a 2-knot speed. This little green circle, you can barely see it, represents how far she can move in a turn, so I don't even think she'll get there. The light cruiser Marblehead is a little bit better off at 46 float damage, but her engines are toast, and she's at 98 fire, so she's probably a goner too, so the Marblehead is toast. The Boise is still alive, and it looks like the reports about the Dallas being hit were wrong, so the Dallas is fine. Overall, we're going to lose a heavy cruiser and a light cruiser, and frankly, for the exchange of, for the exchange of losing a Japanese heavy cruiser, if that is indeed an accurate report, I am more than happy with that trade-off. A light cruiser and a heavy cruiser for the Allies at the expense of the loss of a lone Japanese heavy cruiser is still a worthy trade. Let's see here. Not sure what to do next. You can see here I think we have 1 battleship under repair. Yeah, I've put the Prince of Wales into dry dock in Singapore. Now, there is no way in hell that Singapore will last 291 days, which is going to be the total length of time it will take to repair the Prince of Wales, but it was an effort to save it. And again, as the Japanese advance down the peninsula, perhaps if I can get this float damage down to like 50, I can bring her out of dry dock and try and escape her south to Java, if that's an option. You can see here the Diane is also withdrawing to Singapore. She's badly damaged. Not sure what happened to the Repulse. Did the Repulse... Or no, wait, the Repulse sank, didn't it? I think we lost the Repulse on the previous turn. Yeah, we lost the Repulse already. Near Georgetown, so she didn't even make it that far north. Do we have any troop transports that are... I don't want you to withdraw to Singapore. You've already gone this far up. You're going to get hit either way. You might as well pull out. So... we've got some troops on troop transports trying to escape. The New Zealand Pioneers look like they're in trouble. So we'll try and... I don't know. I don't even know what to do. Maybe they can get to Shebang, the Bang, and then we can try and come pick them up at night. But this one transport that's still in decent health, I'm going to have him go at full speed, and hopefully he can get out there. I don't even think he's got the fuel to get there, but the range of these Japanese aircraft is tricky. If he can get out toward the edge of the range, though, he might be able to break free. Cavalry regiment's pulling back. All in all, Singapore is in trouble. Did also dispatch a heavier surface group to Balkapan. It's got 2 battle cruisers in it. It is a Dutch fleet under the command of Rear Admiral Doorman, Karl Doorman, the commander of ABAD forces historically, but with 2 battle cruisers that he did not have, and I'm sorry about the graphics looking weird, guys. Seeing double. Yeah, that's weird. I think that's just kind of a weird visual graphic. That's more on my system and my setups, and because I've played with this not being an issue, but you can see here each of these battle cruisers has 9 28-centimeter guns. They're a German design and build, but they were ordered from Germany between the wars. Okay, we have also got some anti-aircraft cruisers, which will be very useful in the event of an enemy airstrike against us, and some destroyers. So I think what we do, we pull these guys back out to Baloogan, keep them moving at flank speed if they can get there. They get there? No. Can they get to Tarkin? Yes. No. Says they can't. Baloogan? Huh. We'll try and get them to Baloogan. Refuel anywhere along the way. We'll get some fuel there, right? I'm just trying to get them out of the crosshairs of the Japanese forces here. This little red thing to me means that you can't escape. We'll go with mission speed. We've got fuel to get there, but the problem is they'll only get out this far. Japanese airstrikes are inevitable to fall on them. I think we keep the destroyers moving to Miri. I think we change their mission to bombardment. Destroyer bombardment's going to be, you know, limited in effectiveness, but it may be a nuisance. Thousand yards, minimum bombardment range. I think that works. Alright, so this is a really difficult game to show off in a stream and be like, here's everything you can do. But just an example, like at the Clark Field Garrison, you can see all of these forces, or not garrison, but the forces based at Clark Field. All of these different individual units are currently on Clark Field. We've got a bunch of troops withdrawing up the peninsula to Bataan, which is really where we're going to make our final stand. We've got some engineer forces there that are going to really build up some trenches. So if we go into Bataan, we can see we're building trenches there. We're already at 2-level fortification, 67% on the way, building more. Similarly, we're building fortifications at Clark Field, which I believe will retreat this way. I'm going to evacuate Manila, but it's got a lot of really strong forces here as well. So we'll kind of keep Manila as is. This Philippine division is kind of isolated. There's really no reason to hold them down there, so we'll pull them back to Bataan. You can see these guys, I think, are already moving. Yep, they are. We've already issued the orders to some of our coastal units to start withdrawing toward Clark Field, which they are doing. These guys are all moving. You can see the Japanese now have beachheads at Aparari, and they also have some at Vegan. And again, Vegan is not fallen yet, but you can see massed Japanese forces here in and around Vegan. So we'll go ahead and we'll set some of our subs to move toward where their shipping is. Again, shallow water sub attacks, dubious proposition at best. I don't know if the game simulates the Mark 14 in this scenario. It definitely simulates the failings of the American torpedo. But I don't know if it sets the failings in this particular modification. These guys are actually already going to Epari. And we'll send this S-boat here to Vegan. Again, the more damage we can cause, the more headaches we can inflict on the Japanese early, the better. If it had a bit of a facelift. Yeah, the game isn't the newest looking game. There's no doubt about that. Let's see here. Need to see what forces are worth pulling out. This game is one of those games where it's so big it's hard to know where to start. Also, they're one-day turns, so frankly, you know, you don't need to do everything on every turn. It looks like he's moving some troops southwest. He may be going for a stab at Rabaul already. To try and, you know, really push on Australia by getting a base down there. He's got naval forces advancing south. Do we have anything in their way? Not really. Nothing close anyway. Alright, let's do this. Switch it over to air combat. We can get one light carrier in. Only has 15 aircraft. It's not worth it. Damn. What if we form a surface combat force? Get some destroyers involved. Let's see. The Australian Navy is not very much present. Most of these ships in port here are just transports. Don't we have some Australian vessels? Nothing is anywhere near here. We do have a carrier task force over here on the northern side of Australia. What's this consist of? The Savannah and the Charlotte. These look American. They are. Neither one of them has any... Oh, they do have carrier... Or they do have air wings. Oh, the Pensacola. Good old Pensacola. Play as the Pensacola every once in a while in World of Warships. We're going to make that American Fleet's base, Port Moresby. We're going to go ahead and pull those carriers into Port Moresby. And then we're going to go ahead and reclassify our group out of Sydney as an air combat. We're going to pull the carrier in Sydney as well. Pull that destroyer. Oops. We're going to pull all these ships north to Port Moresby. Then we'll see if the Japanese make an ill-advised, rapid rush for some of these bases. We'll use these limited carrier arms against them. The game does simulate command or where commands were located under which HQs. So do we have? Okay, we have 6,000 fuel there. That's not really sufficient for operations. These guys are going to Canton. Unload there. Alright, I'm really going to need to get my logistical chain up and running. Wait, where the hell is this guy going? Oh, these are the carriers moving west. So these are the carriers who struck at Pearl. I think he made a southern dash of it, because what I didn't end up showing off was he ran a couple of fighter sweeps over Pearl. So I don't know where exactly he's pulling to. Maybe back to Kwajalein to regroup. My carriers, as the United States, are actually a little bit further south, so the Enterprise is running south. We also got a couple of battleships out as well. The Maryland and the West Virginia will be useful. I think we're trying to run to catch up something. Wait, why are you... No, don't you dare go back to Pearl. I think, actually, what we want to do, we don't want to run at full speed. We want to run at mission speed. And then we can set our task force routing so that we can actually merge or meet this task force. And then hopefully merge, I would guess, with them to make them even stronger. Let's see what's going on around Pearl. We've got some sub-patrols, surface combat. Wait, what? Oh, I put some subs into patrol mode just so they'd get out from under the Japanese airstrikes. Seems like the Japanese fleet is sailing away, so hopefully they don't, double back and try and come for us. We don't have really much in the way of surface ships we can send out to greet them. The Oklahoma, Arizona, and Nevada are all badly damaged, but they are not in danger of sinking. You can see some heavy engine damage and float damage, but nothing that's terribly concerning. These can all be fixed. They're under repair right now in the shipyard. If we take a look outside of the shipyard, we can see we have no battleships left. Two or three of them sunk. We do have some heavy cruisers again, or actually some light cruisers, mostly one heavy cruiser. Most of those are damaged to varying degrees. Nothing that'll prevent us from pulling them back to the States, though, where they can be repaired much more efficiently. The main reason I'm keeping them in port is I don't want Baloogan to turn on me next turn, and then my ships can't escape out from under his air cover. The worst thing possible to happen would them to get stuck in open sea with no air cover. We do have some air units here at Pearl. You can see here we've got a reasonable number of P-36 Mohawks, about 50 P-36 Mohawks, about 50 P-50 Sky rockets. These are all fighter aircraft, so about 100 effective fighter aircraft there, as well as a whole bunch further down. So you can see we have 290 aircraft, 140 of them are ready, about half, and a large number of them are fighters. So if we actually take a look, we can sort by type. You can see we have 86 ready fighter aircraft ready for service. I guess I was looking at numbers in terms of the total number of the air units. So I guess a much smaller percentage of our fighters are ready. But nonetheless, the more the Japanese launch strikes against us, the more they're going to attrit themselves. I have also decided to put together a fast tanker force, just a single tanker, which will probably get sunk by Japanese subs, but essentially it's loading up with fuel. It will race south to Palmyra to replenish our naval forces, which ran there. And I have some other allied forces that are coming up. So we've got some light carriers, Frankfurt and Jacksonville, which are coming up. And then we've also got something else in here somewhere. I think there's a... I don't know where the French went. We had a French group of battle cruisers somewhere around here. I have to go find them after the stream. So that's the general situation here. All in all, a rough spot for the Allies. You can see here, I don't know why that guy's escorting. Their ship must have sunk that they were escorting. But rough situation here for the Allies. Not a lot of opportunity here. You can see the French destroyers did make it into Manila. So we can disband, maybe one of them, but it doesn't make sense to linger too many forces in Manila. We've got some destroyers here, as well as some subs I haven't sent out, tankers, transports, things like that, that it may make sense to try and escape some of these forces now and make the eventual Japanese advance a little bit more difficult. But overall, a bit of a rough start. Again, we lost quite a few troops trying to escape Hong Kong. That single victory we had really was the battle near Miri. And then we've got to figure out what to do with China. So I think it makes some sense for me to kind of pause for a moment, to take stock, and to formulate a strategy moving forward that I think will make sense. Right now, I'm not quite sure what it is. I just wanted to show you guys this first turn, if you will, and see the scenario as it is currently. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I know it's only been about 50 minutes, but I am going to go ahead and end it here. I will put this up on the channel, and then ideally in a couple of days, I'll post kind of my strategy going forward and some of the operations that I'm planning so that I can give you a better sense of my path forward. I don't know why I have a light carrier here. Good lord, get out of there, dude. You're going to get sunk. Alright. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoy the video. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now that Tortuga's back. And once again, thanks for watching. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying, again, thank you for watching. And I'm out.